We've got kind of two vice captains in Peter O'Mahony and Johnny Sexton, and a strong leadership group. So it would depend a bit on selection and then on what we feel we need at any given time. It could be that Pete and Johnny kind of take the team on and share the load. I know people think there's a lot of influence with the provinces, but there are very few conversations around trying to dictate where a player plays, and they're certainly not ones that I have had very often with coaches. And sometimes, you might say, look, if you get the chance, could you give them a run at 12 or a run at 15 or a run at open side or a run at 10 for Joey? But I think the provinces, we try to keep them as autonomous as possible without losing sight of the national interest, because for me that's my job, and for the provincial coach it's their job to make the most of their provincial group with an eye on the future for their individual players. The decision, it was a little bit of a surprise to me. I honestly wasn't sure what he was going to do. I thought that he was quite possibly going to stay put. So I'm not sure, really. I haven't had that much time to think about it. Believe it or not, I've had a few other things on my plate over particularly the last few days, getting everyone back together and trying to get them on the same page. And so that's been at the forefront of my thinking. It's very new news to me, so I haven't really had too much time to digest it personally. But it's a decision that Joey's taken a bit of time over, and certainly, while it may have been mentioned, it doesn't seem to have affected his performances too much. I think he's played really well, and I'd understand why Leinster would be desperately keen to hang on to him, and why Munster would feel that it's a huge bonus for them. The initial conversation with Leo, with myself and David Nusifora, was not the best timing for any of us. It certainly wasn't where I wanted to be at the time, but I had a job to do, and all we asked was, could we ask, is there any interest for Ross or for Joey to go up to Ulster? Because Ulster were looking at the time at a foreign option. They needed to know by midday the following day, and so we had to see if there was any chance at all that one of our local number 10s were interested. And if there was no interest, then it was probably a different story. But there was a bit of interest from Joey at the time, and then he mulled that over, and I think he got an approach from Munster in the interim, and it kind of digressed then into a different conversation. Has he progressed? He's superbly coached at Leinster. He's had really good role models to follow, and I've no doubt that he now feels that with that base he can springboard into a more senior position. I think to be honest, the proof's in the pudding. Is it a good opportunity? I think it is a good opportunity for him to get in and play 10, but he's going to get competition from Tyler, Ian, JJ. Bill Johnson's a good young player, so there is going to be competition for him. So that's not necessarily a bad thing either. But it may turn out to be a good move if he can make the most of it, and that's always the question. If anyone moves, would it have been a good move to stay? It could have been. If he'd been able to progress and play more often at 10, it could have been. The one thing I think with any young player, with any player, full stop, once you've made a decision, it's a good move. Yeah. So Rory is not going to tour. He had a hamstring issue that kept him out of the game against Ospreys, and we felt that he was really going in the right direction, and that he would be ready for game 1, definitely for game 2, but he's just not quite where we need him to be, and to go away with just 2 fit hookers, it's a real risk, because if one gets sick on the morning of the match and you've got one hooker, in the laws of the game, you've got to have a replacement for every position in the front row, so someone else then has to fill in. I'd hate to think who would have to throw in the line out and who would have to shift into that hooker spot. Niall Scannell will come in his place, and so the three hookers travelling will be Rob Herring, Sean Cronin and Niall Scannell.